concentrate on a few of the customer service skills and searching things and stuff like that here this afternoon. I told Amy this morning I sort of have to recalibrate because in my mind I should have just be coming back from lunch now. So that's sort of like.
Don has designed this as an all-day training, but we were afraid that by offering an all-day training with even though it would be more maybe in depth, although he covered quite a bit in that first hour.
I will say the primary difference is that we always provide a hands-on opportunity at the computers for the software section in the mornings. So that's really the only thing we're missing. So.
Okay. Well, we were at CML. Melissa and I talked, and we were just hopeful that by offering 2 duplicate sessions in a day, we could get more staff and get some more staff, more options. You know, if you were an HHC, we had a couple of HHC coordinators this morning who were going to then open their centers, this afternoon, or vice versa. People who did story time this morning could only come this afternoon. So.
And as I mentioned, you're more than welcome to use the practice server whenever you go back to your branches and everything to sort of get that hands-on experience outside the live service. So that,
but it was my sense from talking to staff that a lot of you feel comfortable or at least confident with the software itself. It was what do I do when such and such asks such and such a question? Or what are the best, service, we're not calling them best practices in CML anymore.
Yes.
We are calling them service expectations
service
now.
expectations.
Yes.
Okay.
So, or what are the service expectations for doing the Know It Now service? So that was why we really reached out to Don and asked him to come down and do a quickie on the actual nuts and bolts of the software and more of a deeper look at the customer service.
And I will ask, do you think we sort of covered that?
I do.
Expectations this morning?
I do. Like I said, I think, a few people had some questions this afternoon, a few people had a few questions this morning, but by and large, many of us have handled that software. Plus,
right.
IMing has become much more prevalent. When we first started this service, all of us who've been doing it for a while, when we first started, it was like IM was it took us a while. The service was clunky because it was, new. And the how to do it was much more difficult. This is a rather intuitive, I think. Spark is a rather intuitive way to IM. Our questions seem to center more around what do we do with the class bomb? What do we do with the pranks? And how do we know what's a prank and what's not a prank? What am I supposed to do when I've got this kid asking me where babies come from? So how do I find the best resources to answer these students' questions? Again, we're on like noon to 4-ish. So I think it's safe to say most of us see students asking school age level questions.
Yeah.
What are the best resources we can use to find some of those?
Cool.
Okay.
And as you mentioned this morning too, those often show up in the newsletter, resources and things like that. So that's
They do. I really hope you get bombarded with a bunch of requests for accounts from CML, because I really would like people to start getting those newsletters on their own. I mean, I try to share when I can, but I've got 8 million other things to do also.
And there's no reason for you to do it either. So like I said, there's no charge or whatever like that. So I mean,
absolutely. I would encourage everybody to get onto there.
Remember,
the only thing I ask, and I'll repeat whenever Don maybe gives his contact information, is if you contact him directly with a question, CC me, just so I know what people are asking, and then if somebody else from CML asks me that question, if I'm CC'd in the response, I can then know what to tell people. So if you contact Don, which is fine, just copy me in your question so that I can kind of stay on top of what everybody's asking and I can hear his answer as well.
And if you do have questions, chances are somebody else somewhere in the state is thinking the same thing. So if you ask it and it's applicable to everybody, we can also post information on the community site too to sort of disseminate that out to everybody else as well. So please don't hesitate to let me know. Along the same lines, the easiest way to get in contact with us is at the support email, support@knowitnow.org. Both Brian and I have access to that. If it's a technical software question, he can handle it. If it's a policy, procedural sort of question, I can handle it. So that's probably the easiest way to get in contact with us. But if you do have something that needs immediate attention, please don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give us a call too. Like I said, all that information is on the provider site as well. Okay? So the rest of this afternoon, we're going to look at efficient uses of Google and Wikipedia. I know a lot of people, how many people use Google? Very good, very good. Just as a matter of curiosity, how many people edit articles on Wikipedia? Anybody? Oh.
No editors in this room either.
Okay, good, okay.
CML keeps us pretty busy, Don.
That's a hobby. And then a little refresher on the statewide databases. We're going to look at pranks and problems, and then finish up with customer service skills with some actual transcripts from Know Now. The reason I bring the transcripts along is I think it's helpful to hear a couple of those at least out loud. The good transactions on virtual reference sound a lot like a conversation across the reference desk. The bad ones usually don't. The bad ones go along the lines usually of canned greeting, link, thank you for using our service. That's not a conversation anywhere, at least that I know of. The ones that sound more like an interaction and all that kind of stuff is, it's much more, once again, it's much more human. It doesn't give that appearance of artificial intelligence. So, first of all, just to reiterate, you are part of Know It Now, you are part of the posse. Don't think of Know It Now as either the software that lives on your computer or just the people that share your same account. We have librarians all across the state. Currently about 20% of the libraries in the state staff Know It Now. We're always looking to recruit more people. I'll be doing that at the OLC convention. We'll have an exhibit table there, so if you want to steer anybody towards our table and say, you guys should really think about the staff Know It Now, feel free to send them my way. But also, as I mentioned with the broadcast messages, don't feel you have to answer all the questions all by yourself with the only resources that you are aware of. Pick the brains of your colleagues out there in the library. Take advantage of your posse. You don't have to be alone when you do. Likewise, there's a bunch of benchmarks and best practices out there. If you want to know, what kinds of skills do I need to be a reference librarian? What things should I be able to do well? What things should I be able to look at? That short URL will give you links to all the RUSA guidelines, the OLC Public Library Core Competencies. If you're a manager, this also can help you with sort of what does my staff need to know, that sort of thing. Has anybody ever looked at the Seeking Synchronicity report from OCLC? There's a link to the PDF at that short URL. It looks at virtual reference both from the librarian side and the user side. So it's a nice little eye-opening study that OLC did with Marie Radford from Rutgers. Okay. First of all, we're going to look at Googling and Wiki and getting the most out of two of the internet's most popular sites. I always bring up Google and Wiki because I know that people are using it on Know It Now because I can read it in the transcripts. And what I'd like to do, and the reason I talk about it in the training is if people are going to use it, and I'm fine with people using it, they're both good tools, but what I would like you to do is at least have an idea what I would like you to do with them and have some of the more advanced features of Google available to you if you're not already aware of them. So hopefully we'll show you at least one thing you didn't know in this section of the presentation. First of all, who we're dealing with. Just to be clear, Google has 70 offices in 40 countries all around the world, and they are a for-profit company. They don't do things out of the goodness of their heart. They're out to make a buck, and they're going to make a buck out of whatever you do. The fact that we can profit from what they do, and with email and Google Docs and all those wonderful resources that they have, it's great, but don't forget they are a for-profit company. On the flip side, the Wikimedia Foundation is responsible for Wikipedia, for hosting Wikipedia, touts the fact that they have an entire one floor in a nondescript office building in San Francisco with plenty of room left for their 27 employees. They are a nonprofit corporation. So they are not out to make a profit, they are out to provide information to people. Whether that's good information or not, we can always debate that. But they are two very different companies, and I think that people often lump them together whenever they think of stuff on the internet. Google Wikipedia seems to be sort of like peanut butter and jelly of the internet. So they're very different, they come from two very different sources. Operating revenues, likewise, there's Google's revenue from last year, and there's a comparison for what Wikimedia's operating revenue was, and that $11 billion is the operating revenue of all the public libraries in the United States. Gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here. So Google is probably one of those things that changed, I think, both the way librarians do their jobs as well as the expectations of patrons of us. I think that whole instant gratification of information has a lot to do with how Google searches for stuff, and I think it's changed the way librarians both do their jobs and think about their jobs in a major way. A lot of people think of it, they're just going to, whenever they think of Google, if I need an answer, I'll just Google it. But what we as information professionals need to know, need to understand is that you don't just Google it. Be aware of all the different tools that are available to you through Google. Be aware that some things are better to search than other things for certain types of information. They also have YouTube that they own now and all those other things. Google Scholar doesn't get searched on a regular web search. If you're looking for scholarly articles and citations to them, you have to actually go to scholar.google.com. So just be aware of all the different tools that are available to you, and don't just think like a lot of our pages and that you just Google it whenever you need an answer. Likewise, Google is always a work in progress. Just because you know how to do something now doesn't mean you're going to know how to do it on Google next week or next year. Case in point, this was a screenshot I was using in a presentation back in early 2012 with all those little things arrayed along the side, pulled out, and Google Reader and translated form pages, and all that stuff is gone. So those similar things are arrayed along the top, but they're also hidden away now. They're much harder. They're not harder to find, but you have to know to look for them. A lot of patrons don't even know they're there. They also know where you're doing your search from. So just because you search for parking laws, say in Cleveland or in Cincinnati, you're going to get two completely different sets of search results. You can, if you search, if you click on where it says Cleveland, Ohio and Cincinnati, Ohio, if you click on that, you can change the location of your search so you can see what different people are going to see at different locations. You can also change it to United States so you get the widest possible search possible. But it's a real eye-opener to go in and do a web search and change your city. I do both of these from my office just by changing the city. So if you tell somebody on Know It Now, do a search for a particular set of search terms on Google, they may very well not see the same results that you're going to see. So just be aware that's another reason why it's a good idea not to send Google search results, but to assess the individual authority of the different resources on there. It's an individual resources whenever you're going to send something. You can use Google search if you want to send individual resources. So, to take you through a search and see how things can work on here, how many of you are aware that if you click on the little camera that you can search by uploading an image on Google? Good. Somebody, that's good. And Amy was, I think it was Amy, you just saying this morning, or somebody else was the person from the state library.
Yeah.
About that on Chrome, they're either just did it or they're going to do it, that you can right click on any image when you're in Chrome, you can right click on any image and do search by image from any image on the internet. So that's in the meantime, click on the little camera. It'll give you the option to upload an image. And what I did was I uploaded an image of a building that I took whenever we took our family vacation to San Francisco earlier in the summer. We're on the cable car right down the street. I said, oh, that's cool. So I went and clicked on that. Didn't know whose house it was, didn't know what the history of it was, nothing like that. So I said, okay, well, let's use that and see what we can find out about ways of getting search on Google. Uploaded that. It was in San Francisco, California Street. So I did the search, I did visually similar images, and lo and behold, there is a picture of the same building from a different angle. On that, there's my picture on the upper right and one from Google Images on the lower right. I said, okay, this is the James Clare Flood Mansion, home of the City Cleaning Club on California Street in San Francisco. What else can we find out about James Clare Flood Mansion utilizing the chart? If you do images, go back to images and say San Francisco Flood Mansion, and you click where it says black and white there, you get this little window. Search by color. This is one way on Google if a patron comes into your building and says, I was reading a woodworking book with a red cover on it about 6 months ago. You tell me what it was. Put in woodworking and book. Search by red as the primary color. You can at least get a universe of samples that might give you an idea of which one it might be. I know you want in your collection, but at least you get a sample of it. Was one of these titles here, one of these covers here, right? Before somebody can send out a be like, I'm sorry, the red books are over there. You can take a look if you want. But this at least gives you a universe of samples to work with. And also, if you're looking for charts and graphs on a particular topic, say you wanted to search for stock market prices for steel, whatever, dates, you do an image search, the primary color is white, those charts and graphs have their primary color white, then find out charts and graphs for that particular topic. So you don't have to just search for images. This happened to me, I changed it to black and white, found this picture of the flood mansion, almost from the same angle that I took it, from after the 1906 earthquake. Water ponds. As a regular web search, you're back there, you have access to of course, the San Francisco newspaper, talks a little bit more about James Clare Flood, and the fact that he was a bonanza king. Okay, well, let's see if we can find out about that. If you go into news, click on news along the top there, click on where it says anytime, gives you all these options. The bottom is archives. That's going to be their older papers. Here, see there's the Bonanza King. This is a paper from full text and images from March 14, 1889, and provides James Clare Flood's obituary. So the archives on Google News come in handy if you're looking for contemporary articles, say if you're looking for information and the patron or the student wants a news article about the moon landing in the 1960s, then you can try Google News if possible and you get contemporary news articles that they can use for their report from the time. Likewise, books. Never underestimate the help that Google digitized books can give you. Sometimes this is the only place you're able to find the answer to a question. I had the one that always comes to mind for this is that a person was looking for the birth and death dates of the person who invented vacuum canning. So I looked at like biography databases and this kind of thing. Ended up it was a person who invented vacuum canning in England in the 1700s. And I'm like, okay. Went to the books, did a search for canning back in, I can't remember what search terms I used, but lo and behold, there was a book on inventors. That person was in there, had his picture, had this date to this date. It's the only place I was able to find the answer to that question. So there's some, controversy on Google's digitizing of books, but I figure as long as they're there, we might as well make use of them. So don't forget them in the research. And this just happens to be a written reference manual from 1892, and lo and behold, the names of things born in their own entry in the written reference catalog. That is cool.
I want to ask a question that maybe you don't know. If I were to direct a student to Google Books, I would consider that a resource out of the book.
Yes.
Would you consider that a resource out of the book?
I would.
From a website? Because you know how kids go like, no
I can't use a website, no .coms. Yeah.
Okay, but you
No, I would,
I would consider that to be electronic version.
I think you can do it either way. Because all the copyright information is there, all the published information, so they can write a citation for that book. And there's really not a lot of difference between having a physical book in your hand and having it digitized online if it's the same material. So I think depending on how they want to use it, you can use it as an electronic resource, or they can use it as a book, because it's a book. It's a book. So many ways I can say that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's also Google Patents. If you've ever tried to use the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office's website, you'll know that it is extremely user hostile. Google Patents is a nice, quick way to get into the patents. But don't think you have to only use it if somebody comes in, I need information on a patent. If you have students coming in or asking questions on it now about, I have an Ohio inventor report, I need information on this most obscure inventor that my teacher can find. I swear they get the most obscure inventors. This is at least if they patented something, you can at least find their patent, find the pictures of what they patented, all that kind of stuff. That at least gives you something to look for. I've also been urging people to think of it as a way if you're doing displays or doing presentations or something and you need something to evoke that sort of Victorian steampunk era, this would be a perfect thing for doing a display on steampunk fiction. And it just sort of evokes that whole sort of era that they try and do in steampunk novels and Victorian era and all that kind of stuff. Even the signatures and all that kind of stuff. So they're all flowery signatures and that sort of thing. So don't think that somebody has to say, I need a patent to use Google Patent. And after that, we don't need a cookie. So you can search for recipes. If you go up to the top there under more, there is an option for recipes if there are recipes that show up on the web. And you can then limit those by ingredients and cook time and calories. If you say, I need a chocolate chip cookie recipes with no nuts in it, at least be a way that you can search for that sort of information. There is a power searching with Google Class. There's a basic and an advanced. I took the basic one. That's actually where I found out about the whole book cover thing. They had that in there. Went through the basic one. I was like, that's kind of interesting. I did the advanced one, and I got stumped on the second exercise, and I haven't had a chance to get back to it yet. They provide you with a lot of resources. They give you a question, and then there's a video component where they sort of like instruct you on how to do stuff. And then they give you a question, and you have to search through all the different sort of resources and connect everything together to get the answer to the question. It's really well done. So if you want to share this with patrons to let them have a little bit more skill with people, or if you want to keep it to yourself and then you can amaze everybody with your Google skills, you're welcome to do that. But it's actually a fairly nice little self-contained professional development tool. So that was Google. Anybody have questions on Wikipedia? One of the charges, of course, that gets leveled against Wikipedia is that everybody can edit anything, so nothing is worth anything on Wikipedia. They have started to address some of that with their little lock mechanism labels there. My favorite is semi-protected. It's like, semi-protected. And what that means is that with the semi-protected stuff, you have to have an account. You can't do it anonymously. You have to have edited something in the past few weeks or months, I believe it is. And a couple other restrictions. You can see there's a little color-coded thing that all the different things that they have now for that sort of editorial control, it's called. Let's put it in quotes. So there is some of that. And you can see those. They show up on the upper right-hand corner of articles. There's a little silver lock. And this one's semi-protected. They also have some of them that have audio components, so you can put them out or read the article to you. And the gold means that it's been voted on by the various Wikipedia editors as one of the better, more complete articles on online encyclopedia. Feel like I think encyclopedia articles, but on Wikipedia.
Yeah, we can go back to Google for just one second.
Yes.
Something that I'll share that we use actually quite a bit our information line. And I don't know if you ever know it now get questions about a certain business or a certain location or whatever, but if you go into Google Maps and they can tell you kind of the corner, like the street that it's on, but I can't remember the name of the business. You can just actually search for that street and then click the street view and like kind of look at the picture and move down and so you can see the building. And the other thing we use is sometimes they'll say something like, it's this place that sells, hair salon products that's near the gas station on Fifth Avenue or whatever. And then you can go in and like put in an address they know and say, hair salon near. So that's a couple things that we use on Google all the time that it also does in Google Maps.
That's a good idea. No, that's a very good idea. Yeah, Street View is really, there's a lot of applications for that. I think that it's very cool. Anything else? That's a good point. If you want to see more behind the scenes on Wikipedia, the top pages are where you want to go. This is where all the discussions take place among all the editors as to what needs to be changed, what needs to be revised, what needs to be added, what needs to be, anything about the article. This is the table of contents for just the top page on the Barack Obama article. And this is probably changes from a while ago now. But this is just the discussion page. This is where all the discussions take place behind the scenes. This is not the article itself. So there is some editorial control. For example, here are 3 of the edits that I've done myself. The Tecumseh Popular Culture one. I noticed that back some time ago that there was no link to the outdoor drama that's performed down in Chillicothe. So I said, okay, well, I'll add that in there. That'll be one of my edits on Wikipedia. I put it in, made a link to the theater, and within minutes, somebody had taken it down, added a note saying that it was self-promotion because it just linked to where you buy tickets and everything, and that I needed third-party references to include it in the article. I went, wow, okay, somebody's paying attention to the Tecumseh article. So I took it as a challenge, went out and found Alan Eckert's obituary, where they mentioned him writing the script for the play, and a link to where there was an article about it winning some awards. Put those in as the links. And so far it's stayed in. So that was a real eye-opening experience for me. On the Owen Gito there, that's the animal that was announced by the National Museum of Natural History just within the past couple months, mainly down in South America. I wanted to see how fast Wikipedia would have an article on it, so I was on the Wikipedia page as they were announcing it on the live feed. Lo and behold, somebody started an article under OLINGTO about it, so they announced that, Natural Museum, Ends up that it was actually spelled UITO on the end. So what I did was I went in and made a redirect from the misspelling, so that if you misspell OLINGTO on Wikipedia, it will link you to the actual article about the info itself. So, but I think it behooves librarians to at least know how it works and how those discussions take place in the background, how articles get edited. And it's very interesting to see if you start doing some edits on there, see what stays, what doesn't, what gets changed, and all that sort of thing. So it can be a real eye-opening experience. So some recommended uses as a referral tool. If you don't know where to go, Wikipedia is a great place to start. You don't have to share it with the patrons, but behind the scenes, feel free to use it. The bibliographies for the readings, external links are all very helpful. Popular culture is a really good thing to use it for. This is just this isn't Bruno Mars' biography, this is just his discography. You'll notice down here, it has the chart positions of the albums in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different countries. And they all link to things like Billboard and MTV and all that kind of thing. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel because it's going to link you to sources you're going to look at anyway. Same way with the first episode of the Walking Dead series. There's a 14-page article on the first episode of the Walking Dead series. Oh my God! And it's in one location. Once again, why reinvent the wheel? Somebody asks you a question. This is probably one of the first places you want to go for that sort of popular culture sorts of questions. 14 pages. For language study, it gives you the various language versions of Wikipedia, give you some lengthier texts in languages that you might not have a lot of resources for in your library. They're not machine translations of the English Wikipedia. They're all written by people who either study or speak those languages. Some of the articles are similar to the English language Wikipedia, and some of the English language articles are actually translations from other languages. But there's a number of different language versions. This happens to be the Barack Obama article in Old English. If it's in Finnish, you'll see a little bit different. They actually put in that the Nobel Prize winner. All the Nobel Prize winners have these little things on the Finnish Wikipedia. And here it is in Arabic. So it's left to right as well as right to left. You also get a local perspective. Here is the new president of Iran. The 20-page article on the English language Wikipedia. On the Farsi, how many people speak Farsi? Anybody? No. 37 pages on the Farsi language version. You can also then use Google Translate, right there, to get a rough translation of that article in English. So you don't necessarily want to use the article itself, but you're going to find a lot more information, a lot more names, dates, places to search that you can use that as a jumping off point for further research. Likewise, there is no English language Wikipedia article on Iran's presidential election from 1392. 1392 is the Persian year. So you can get those local perspectives on the different language versions of it. And likewise, you get a local perspective. Does anybody know who, you might know, anybody who edits the Columbus Metropolitan Library article on Wikipedia?
I know.
Please.
It is Deborah Packing Marketing.
Excellent. Okay. So you actually have somebody in the library who's editing the article. I brought the Wikipedia article up for a library that was at that I did another training at, and they were all flabbergasted that there was an article about